Leadership isn't necessarily about those people in the public spotlight, explains Tyara Smith. Tyara is a prominent educator in training in the early childhood education program at Toronto Metropolitan University. As a woman in her early 20s, she identifies the qualities of leadership as personability, the capacity to be transparent in a conversation, and openness to opinions. Tyara also cautions that leadership might be a lost art, given how social media and celebrity status are focused on creating followers. Enjoy this Season 4 installment of Leaders of Tomorrow with host Melanie Taddeo and special guest Tyara Smith. But first, a brief message about CanadaHelps.org.
Every dollar raised on CanadaHelps.org on our Connect for Life page will give us the opportunity to be entered into a random draw for a grant of $10,000, ensuring our skills development training hubs become a reality. Help us out. Good day and welcome to Connect for Life, the podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Taddeo, and today I'm joined by Tyara Smith, who is an intern with us this summer, and we're going to have a conversation about leadership. Hi, Tyara. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Why don't you introduce yourself and let people know a little bit about you?
For sure. My name is Tyara Smith. I am a fourth year university student at Toronto Metropolitan University. I am in the Child and Youth Care Program, or CYC. So if you hear me say that a few times throughout, then it's just CYC. That's what it stands for. And I am now doing my second internship throughout my program this year with Connect for Life. So yeah.
Excellent. And you know that this season is all about leaders of tomorrow. And you and I have had a couple of conversations about what leadership actually is. So let's start there. What does leadership mean to you?
To me, leadership means guiding people who need the guidance in our society, whether that be you going to work and being a leader at work, or you just going to school and leading a group. Leadership means giving guidance to people who need it.
Yeah, very well said. So tell me some examples of where you have been a leader in your life.
So at work, we sometimes have new people, or sometimes people call in, and I have to teach people how to work in my unit, how to clean different rooms, how to kind of assess different situations in our workplace because it's a high pressure environment. And one time we got a new person in my unit and I didn't know about it, but my supervisor was just like, Tyra's great, Tiara's great. Like she can handle anyone that comes in, or like she can teach people. She's great at giving people understanding and grace. And so I trained someone for 2 days with no heads up, no notice that I was going to be training. And it was great. The person now and I, we talk all the time. Anytime she needs help at work, she just texts me, even if I'm not there. And throughout that day, that those 2 days that I was training her, she really got to know the unit that we were working on and how to complete her tasks. And I gave her so much grace and like understanding because she's new, and I want to make sure that she feels led on and not like, you know, not insecure about the way that she's doing things because she's new. So I think that being a good leader means that you're guiding someone and allowing them to make mistakes and correct themselves. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. Now, we know leadership at school is an essential skill to really hone. And can you talk a little bit about at school where you've been in a situation where you had the opportunity to lead and maybe some of the challenges that came along with it?
Hmm. So, a lot of my program is kind of based around leadership and group work. I think like every single class that I've had, we've always had like a group project or something of that nature. And so we've had to work with new people. I'm not always going to be working with my friends. Um, and not everyone is the same. And some people always take on more of a leadership role in their groups, but sometimes you have to be that leader. And In the last 2 years, I had a group project that I kind of had to step up and be that leader. Usually, I'm not the one who likes to be the leader in the group projects because I don't always love all the responsibility of like keeping track and making sure that everyone is doing their job. But I took up that role because I saw that no one else wanted to do it. And I thought that maybe this would be like a learning opportunity for me to grow a little bit. And it was a group project that was worth like I think like 30% of our grade. So it was pretty big. And um I learned how to delegate tasks. I learned how to divide the work. I learned, everyone's different like learning styles and how everyone wanted to do their own work. And I found that, everyone wanted to work. Some people want to work independently, some people want to work all together. And I just found that, if we want to work together, we can pick a day and after class we can work on it for a little bit and then whatever needs to be done that can be done alone, you guys can do it at home. And then if we ran into any issues, usually we would just talk about it. I just ask like, "Oh, like, are you having trouble with this?" and like help. So I think being a leader in that aspect just means like checking in on people and making sure that they're doing what they need to do, and then also giving them some guidance and help. Because sometimes it can be a little bit tricky in university, like asking for help. And so I think just being a leader and just reaching out to people so they don't have to reach out to you and saying, "Oh, you can always come to me if you need help," is a really big thing.
Definitely. Now, you highlighted a couple of points I want to just follow up on because absolutely being a leader is delegating as well as meeting people where they're at. So, communicating with them for their styles. You talked, some people like to work alone, some people like to work as a team or as a group, and being able to be flexible and adaptable to meet their needs is important, as well as then you said the check ins, responsibility of making sure things are done. What have you found in this experience or any of your leadership experiences has been challenging for you as a leader? Because let's face it, it's not easy being a leader all the time.
Mhm. I think what can be challenging is certain personality dynamics. I wouldn't say I'm a really open person and I'm open to sharing leadership roles when it comes on to doing work tasks or doing things at school. I'm really open and flexible to working with other people and collaborating and sharing leadership roles. I think what can be a challenge in that aspect is sometimes other people like to take on the leadership role and they like to take it on a little bit too seriously. I
Mhm.
would say I'm more of like a laid back learner and a laid back worker, but I still get the job done and I still make sure I do an amazing job at it. I would say that some people are kind of the opposite. They like to work hard and make sure that everyone else around them is working really hard. And I think that that can kind of clash with what I do because some people kind of over are a little bit overbearing with the leadership role. And it can be a challenge to me because I like to work at my own pace. And I think that is kind of like my biggest thing. But it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that I prefer to be learning and working at my own pace instead of kind of working at the pace of others. As long as like we're in that timeline that we need to get something done or like have something submitted, I'm fine with it. But some people like to hand things in like a week early or like a few days earlier than the assignment is due. So I like to kind of not do that. I like to give everyone time and grace because I don't know what everyone's situation looks like. I don't know if everyone has access to internet 24/7. I don't know if, this person has access to a computer apart from school. Like, I don't know what their situation is. So I think like it's important to give grace. And I would say that's where I clash with some people who are more adamant about like getting things done right away.
Okay, fair. And that's very good points you bring up because, again, we don't know what everybody's personal situation, and then we all have the different leadership styles and the style of us as learners and workers. So, very well said. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, I have had a lot of mentors in my life, somebody that helped guide me and help teach me the ropes on learning something new. Have you had a mentor? And if so, who was it and what did you learn from them?
Um, I wouldn't really say I had a mentor per se, but in high school I had a really amazing guidance counselor and she really helped me gain perspective on my life and the life that I wanted to live and kind of how I wanted to shape my future. Looking back at it, I didn't realize how much of a jump it was from going from high school to university. And I feel like she really prepared me for that jump. And I feel like not a lot of people are ready and have the tools to transition into university like they try to prepare us for in high school. And she was just like a really amazing guidance counselor. I remember I was having a really hard time with like math and English and just like getting all my grades to be good enough for university. And that was in like grade 10 or grade 11. And anytime I was having trouble, she would call me down to her office. We would have a conversation. She would like pull me out of my class and like give me an excuse. And she'd be like, just stay here, just talk to me. She was like a therapist at that point. Like she
Mhm.
was really down to earth and like really connected with me and met me where I was at, which was really important. And
Abs-
she yeah, absolutely, yeah. She reassured me that I was gonna be okay and that it was like in grade 10, I failed math and I thought it was the end of the world. And she was like, "It's okay. You're going to get through this. We're going to get you on a head start. You're going to do night school and then in the summertime you're going to do math again. That way for the next 2 years, so grade 11 and 12, you don't have to think about math ever again for the rest of your life." And I was like, "This is amazing. This is awesome."
Mhm.
And so I think that she was just very supportive and I think that's what I needed as a mentor. I know she
Mhm.
didn't think of herself as a mentor in that
Mhm.
aspect maybe, but, like, in my opinion and, like, the way that I felt, she really helped me gain perspective on, like, what I need to do and, like, how to cope with what I was going through at the time.
Yeah, and the most beautiful thing about mentors is you don't necessarily have to label them as such, but they are definitely there. It sounds like she was an exceptional mentor for you.
Mhm,
And that helped get you through a very challenging situation and time and help steer you to what came next, which is so important. And I agree that, the jump from high school to university is a big one. And unless individuals and students are prepared, sometimes they fall. And everybody always says, how come my grades are so much lower in university? Because we're not necessarily understanding what the big expectations were going into
mhm.
it. Yes. Now, I think, there are some certain skill sets leaders really need to have. And I'd just like to hear your perspective. What are some of those skills? What do you think a good leader, what kind of skills would they have?
I think some skills a good leader would have would be personable, be able to talk to people and get down to their level. I think what can be a big flaw with people that want to be leaders and like speak to people is that they're not personable. They don't want to get to know the person. They just want to like try and have a very blank sheet, straight line conversation. But in order to really connect with someone, you have to be able to get down to their level and just meet them where they're at and then carry the conversation from there. So I think being personable, getting to know them. Another strong set I would say is I think just being a good communicator, knowing what you want when you're going into the conversation, setting like expectations with that person. Like, this is the conversation I want to have with you. This is what we're going to be talking about. Um, Another thing would be transparency, going into the conversation and telling the person, "This is what we're gonna talk about today. I wanna be transparent with you. Let's be transparent with the audience that we're talking to. Let's be transparent with each other." Um, and then I also think that being open to opinions and not being overly opinionated is a strong set. Being able to hear other people's opinions and not, just like go right after them and be like, "Well, I think you're wrong." Being able to like take in what they're saying and rationalize it and kind of see how it aligns or doesn't align with your views is important. And communicating why you don't align with their views, but not like going straight into banter. So I think that communication is important. And yeah, those are the skill sets I think are relevant.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I'm going to get you to talk from your age group. So you're in your 20s, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so you've got a peer group, whether it's at university, your friends, your circle. What types of leaders are they looking up to today?
That is a tricky question. I think that I think that for a lot of us, I don't want to say we don't have leaders that we don't look up to, but I will say that I think the leadership is kind of lost in our generation. I think that we're constantly looking for the next leader or the next like person, famous celebrity, whatever, to kind of follow. I can't say that for myself because I don't follow people on social media
Mhm.
who like are celebrities. I don't follow celebrity trends and that sort of thing. But I would say leadership is very lost in our generation. A lot of people are constantly changing their personalities or looking for someone to kind of follow. I wouldn't say there's leadership. I would say someone sees a trend and they want to follow that person. They want to like mimic their life and like try to be like that person. It's not like that person's being a leader. That person's just posting themselves online and then people want to try and be like them. You can
Okay.
take like yeah, so you could take like I don't know, one of the Kardashians or Jenners, for example. Like everyone wants to be them, but would they are they considered leaders? No, not really. So I feel like leadership is like a lost art in my
Mm,
generation.
okay. I'm gonna ask a follow up to that. Would you say that your age group, and again, this is just based on your circle, you're not speaking for
Mm.
all 20-year-olds, okay? Um, but would you say that they're involved in like political leadership? Are they concerned about what's happening in the world and in our communities as far as like cost of living going up, that sort of thing? Or is it kind of like kind of tuned it out?
I think we're concerned about the cost of living and our leadership. For the most part, most of my friends are all in support of our Canadian government at the moment, and I don't know. I don't want to be like overly political,
No,
but
it's
they don't
okay.
like what is going on in the world apart from our country.
Mhm.
I think they think that our country is doing great with what we have, even though we're in technically like a little bit of a recession.
Mhm.
um, they do think that the condition of our country is good, and they do think about the political landscape. Um, what was the other part of the question?
Okay, no, you answered. So in politics,
Okay.
that's good. Now, what about leadership at the universities and stuff like that? How does your age group or your circle kind of react or relate to the leaders of the post-secondary institutions?
I would say like my peers, like our program is very tight, closely knit. So we literally had our director of our program be one of our professors in like
Mhm.
first year, second year, third year. So we're very close with the leaders of our program and we got to know them really well. And so I would say like we really look up to them. My director of my program is amazing. He's so sweet. He's very kind, he's down to earth, he's very communicative. He really cares about his students, and you can tell that. And even our dean of our faculty, we've had him speak to us multiple times before. He's very honest, he's transparent. So I would think that we all look up to our faculty and our leaders of our program and technically leaders of our university um, positively. Like, I don't think that,
Which is really good. So you're connecting
yeah.
well with that leadership style. And
Mhm.
that's really positive thing. And that's what we like to hear because our hope is that the young leaders of today will emulate the leaders that they feel is what is going to help move things forward. And that's segue into the next point. So I am older than you, and I know that as we get older, things are going to change. We now have AI, we have you know like when I was younger, we didn't even have the internet. Okay, yes, I'm dating myself here, but things
Mm.
evolve and change, and it's at a fast pace. So, what
Yeah.
type of leaders do you think we need for the future?
Um, I think we need leaders that are not necessarily with the trends, but someone who foresees the future. So someone that can see the issues that we have happening right now and can kind of transform them and think about them in innovative ways. I feel like a lot of the problems that we have as a society today are in need of innovation. The solutions need innovation. I think we need someone that can kind of not predict the future, but like foresee what can happen in the future and try to problem solve. So I guess in that aspect, we need someone who is open minded and open to solutions from the people because I think listening to people as a leader is important, and listening to the issues that you might not face, but someone else faces will help open your mind to like problem solving and hearing people out and hearing what the solutions they bring to the table instead of just like listening to what you bring to the table. Like learn from experience, basically.
Definitely, that's great. Now, you're working with children and youth. That's what you're studying. So
Yeah.
you're going to be a leader in this sector. So what skills will you hopefully install into the children and the youth after you?
Yeah. Um, I hope to instill confidence and self-worth, being able to speak up, um, things like that, like being able to advocate for themselves. We learn about a lot of really heavy subjects in my program, and a lot of the times that we're learning about these subjects, we're learning about these different case studies and like articles and stuff like that. Oftentimes it's about children and youth who don't speak up for themselves or they don't have the voice to. And so I think it's important for the generation that I will be working with that I tell the children or the youth that it's important to advocate for yourself and speak up and know when it's your time to advocate for yourself and tell people around you, the older people, that you need this, you need that, because children don't really have a voice for themselves as much as we want to give them a voice. In CYC, they don't really have that. It's always up to an adult. And a lot of what we learn is integrating this child or the youth into their care plan. And so I think it's important that I let them know that, hey, you're able to make some decisions for yourself. And it's important that you tell me that you need this or you need that, or you want to have a conversation about this when your care plan. So I think just speaking up for yourself and learning how to self advocate.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important to start at a young age to talk about leadership because, like, although we're not asking children to be leaders, we want them to be children, but them understanding that by sharing their voice and their thoughts and ideas, that is going to help set them up to be able to learn to advocate for themselves and also to continuously get involved in making change. And this will lead to my final question for you.
Mhm.
When I look online or I look at the communities, I notice there's a lot of youth led initiatives. And a lot of this is taking on leadership in forms that I never even thought of when I was growing up. Can you share what you have seen in some youth led leadership initiatives that really inspired you?
Yeah. So I think a lot of youth led initiatives are really well advertised online. And I think a big selling point of being a youth led initiative is social media and taking advantage of social media. Because regardless of your age, a lot of people are on it, especially like TikTok and Instagram. Those are like the two number one, like in my opinion,
Mhm.
spots for like connecting with youth and young people. So I think that having a youth led initiative and like being able to bring that voice to young people as a young person is so important because sometimes we can feel kind of stuck and not know who we can speak to. And sometimes speaking to an adult is a little bit scary. So being able to speak to another young person about struggles is important. And I think that it's great that youth are giving the chance to lead and advocate for younger people and be in that space. And I think I think that they're able to get down to their level a little bit more because they're so close in age. And I think it's awesome. I really like it. I think that youth led initiatives really take on a role that older people, no offense to older people, but it's a little bit tougher for older people to connect. So I think that they're amazing.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that insight. Is there anything else about leadership you'd like to say or share?
Sure. I guess like my main message today is being a leader means that you are leading an everyday society. Doesn't mean that you're, taking on the role of, oh, I'm going to be the next prime minister, I'm going to be the next mayor of Toronto. It just means that in your everyday life, you are learning to lead in situations that you might not be prepared for. You never know what can happen. And it's just being prepared to take on a role that maybe no one else wants to take on. It could be at work, it could be at school, it could be, something as simple as helping someone cross the street. That means being a leader. And we shouldn't, put leaders in this tiny little box of a category, because being a leader is so much bigger than being like a politician or something. Yeah, being a leader is an important role in society, and we need more leaders. So never be afraid to step up to the plate and help people and give people guidance where they need it.
Great advice. And thank you, Tara, so much for sharing your thoughts and ideas with us today. And to our audience, I encourage you to explore what leadership means to you. Until next time.
You have been listening to Connect for Life, the podcast. Connect for Life is a Canadian-based registered charity committed to eliminating barriers for people with disabilities. Visit connectforlife.ca and join us in helping people with disabilities become the champions of their growth stories.